There is a quiet law, older than gold and deeper than stone, that governs the rise of every fortune, the forging of every empire, the shaping of every legendary life. And it begins in one place, not in the bank, not in the marketplace, not even in the hands of the powerful, but in the invisible space between your ears. Because wealth, true wealth, does not begin with money. It does not start with circumstance, inheritance, or luck. It begins with thought, with the dominating idea that you and you alone are the master of your destiny, and that money, opportunity, and success will bend to the will of a focused, disciplined, purpose-driven mind. This is the truth the world never taught you, the truth buried beneath noise, distraction, and the comfort of mediocrity. But the greats knew it. Carnegie whispered it behind every deal. Edison etched it into every invention. Hill thundered it into the pages of Think and Grow Rich. And now it waits for you, hidden in plain sight, ready to be awakened. You were not born to chase money. You were born to magnetize it, but not through wishing, not through hoping, not through some shallow idea of manifestation. You attract wealth by becoming the kind of person it cannot ignore, a person whose thoughts are organized like an army, whose beliefs burn like fuel, whose vision is so vivid it pulls life toward it like gravity. Wealth is not a reward for chance. It is the consequence of mastery, mental mastery. So the question is not, how do I make more money? The question is, what kind of mind must I build to become wealthy? Let that question become your obsession. Because until your inner world becomes greater than the outer, you will forever be controlled by the economy, by trends, by fear, by other people's opinions, by limitation dressed as logic. But when the mind becomes strong, the world bends. Mindset is not just the beginning, it is the battlefield. You must understand the world you see is a reflection of the lens through which you think. Most people are trying to solve external problems with internal confusion. They want more income, but they've never audited their thoughts. They want freedom, but their mind is a prison built from scarcity, doubt, and hesitation. If your dominant thoughts are of fear, what will you see? Risk, threat, loss. But if your dominant thoughts are of power, purpose, abundance, then even in chaos you will see opportunity, even in silence. You will hear direction. Your mind is a tool, and like any tool, it can be sharpened, or it can be rusted. But most walk through life with a mind that has never been forged, never been disciplined. They are victims of their thoughts, not the architect of them. And as long as your thinking is reactive, your wealth will be accidental, if it ever comes at all. But decide to become intentional with your mind, and everything changes. And it starts with belief, because belief is the seed of reality, not just a soft idea, but a force. A current that cuts through doubt and lays the foundation for every future result. The moment you believe something is possible, your subconscious mind begins its work, arranging, filtering, aligning the world to match what you now accept as real. This is not fantasy. This is biology, psychology, and physics all tied together. Your beliefs determine your energy. Your energy determines your actions. Your actions determine your results, and your results reinforce your beliefs. The loop of reality starts in thought. Every fortune was once a belief so strong it could not be denied. Ford believed he could mass produce the automobile when engineers called him mad. Disney believed in a mouse when investors laughed in his face. Oprah believed in her voice before anyone handed her a mic. Belief is the birthplace of the impossible, but belief is not inherited. It is trained. You must speak to yourself like someone worth betting on. You must surround yourself with voices, with content, with books, with mentors who echo belief back to you. You must reject the noise of average like poison, because every environment you place yourself in is either feeding your belief or starving it. And once belief takes root, clarity must follow, because vague dreams produce vague results. The mind cannot manifest what it cannot define. You must become uncomfortably specific with what wealth means to you. Not just a number, not just a lifestyle, but the feeling, the purpose, the why behind every dollar. Clarity is the great accelerator. It eliminates distraction. It sharpens decision. It brings the subconscious into alignment with the conscious. A clear vision activates the reticular activating system, the filter in your brain that determines what you notice, what you focus on, what stands out. Without clarity, your mind is a lighthouse without a beam, spinning, searching, never landing. But with clarity, every day becomes a step. Every decision becomes filtered through your vision. You don't chase 100 things, you hunt one with obsession. And from that clarity, you must birth a vision so real it hurts to ignore it. Not just a goal, but a future version of yourself that walks, talks, and lives in your imagination with such detail, such power that it becomes magnetic. The mind cannot distinguish between vividly imagined and deeply experienced. And that's your advantage. When you rehearse it daily, emotionally, vividly, the brain begins to rewire itself to support that image. Neuroplasticity, habit formation, identity reshaping. This is not magic. This is design. You are engineering your future by building a mental model so compelling that your behavior starts to match it without resistance. You are no longer trying to become successful. You are simply aligning with the version of yourself that already is. And when vision is locked in place, purpose must light the fire beneath it. Because wealth without purpose is just numbers. It is empty, aimless, and fleeting. But wealth tied to meaning becomes an unstoppable force. It gains moral weight, spiritual velocity. When your financial goals are connected to something larger than yourself, to legacy, to contribution, to impact, then discipline becomes easier. Sacrifice becomes joyful. The grind becomes sacred. Purpose is the multiplier. It turns simple actions into acts of devotion. It turns daily routines into rituals of transformation. And it shields you from the siren song of comfort, of quitting, of compromise. When you know why you're moving, nothing can stop you. The storms don't shake you, they reveal you, and now, with purpose as your fire, you must step into discipline like a warrior dons armor. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. The freedom to choose what matters most over what feels good in the moment. The freedom to act when motivation is absent. The freedom to build momentum in the darkness before results appear. Every wealthy mind is a disciplined mind, not because they enjoy discomfort, but because they have trained themselves to prioritize alignment over ease. They have fallen in love with the process. They do not wait for the world to inspire them, they inspire themselves. Discipline is the great separator, not talent, not luck, but the ability to do what needs to be done, even when every part of you would rather coast. It is the daily decision to honor your future more than your feelings. And the more you keep that promise to yourself, the stronger you become. Because discipline is the evidence of self-respect, and no fortune was ever built by someone who did not respect their own potential. But discipline, though sacred, is not enough without action. Consistent, deliberate, courageous action. You cannot think your way into wealth while standing still. Thought gives birth to direction. Belief fuels it. Clarity sharpens it. But it is action, relentless, aligned action, that breathes it into life. So many wait for perfect timing. They wait for a sign. They wait for motivation, for certainty, for someone to grant them permission. And while they wait, life moves on. Opportunities pass. Time disappears. But the wealthy mind understands there is no perfect time. There is only now. Now is always the moment. Now is the forge. Now is the doorway through which the future is shaped. The greats acted before they were ready. Carnegie began with nothing. Lincoln was born in a log cabin. Edison failed thousands of times before he birthed a single filament of light. They did not wait for the world to approve. They acted and made the world adjust, because action births clarity. Action refines belief. Action transforms fear into power. The mind that moves is the mind that wins. You do not need every answer. You need motion. One step, then another. One conversation, one decision, one habit at a time. Momentum is not something you find. It's something you build. Every action you take aligned with your vision, no matter how small, is a brick laid in the mansion of your future. And every time you don't act, every time you delay, you feed the wolves of doubt and comfort that wait to devour your potential. But when you act with courage, even in fear, you signal to the universe that you are ready. You raise your hand and say, I will shape this life with my own two hands. And yet, even in all this movement, all this drive, you must not forget the quiet force that multiplies wealth like wildfire: gratitude. Gratitude is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is alignment. It is power. To be grateful while you pursue more is to train the mind to live in abundance. It teaches you to see what is already working, to magnify the good, to create from fullness rather than from lack. Most chase wealth because they are running from something. They believe money will fill the hole inside them, silence their insecurities, prove their worth. But gratitude shifts this. Gratitude says, I am already enough, and from that place I build. And when you build from wholeness, not desperation, your results become sustainable. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your vision becomes pure. Gratitude sharpens your focus. It keeps you grounded when success arrives, and it arms you with perspective when storms come, because they will come. No journey to wealth is without resistance. No vision survives untouched by adversity. You will fail. You will be tested. You will be tempted to quit. But the mind trained in resilience does not retreat. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about embracing it, using it as fuel. Every setback contains a seed. Every rejection is a redirection. Every loss is data. You must become like steel, forged by fire, not broken by it. And that fire, it will show up in the form of delays, betrayals, confusion, draughts of motivation, long nights of doubt. But you do not fear the fire, because you have chosen to walk through it. This is not a path for the faint of heart. This is the path of mental giants, and giants do not ask for comfort, they ask for strength. Resilience is built in the silence when no one sees you, when you get back up without applause. when you take the next step with no guarantee it will work. The world belongs to those who keep moving forward, especially when it hurts. And in those moments, you will have to adapt, because wealth is not a straight line. It is not a highway. It is a jungle. Unpredictable, chaotic, ever-changing. The rigid mind breaks. The flexible mind bends, learns, and thrives. Adaptability is intelligence in motion. It is the ability to pivot without panic, to change course without losing purpose, to let go of what no longer serves you, even if you once thought it was essential. Most people stay broke not because they lack effort, but because they cling to outdated identities, models, and methods that no longer work. They are married to the past, but the wealthy mind is married only to results. It is humble enough to learn, sharp enough to pivot, brave enough to reinvent, and learning, real lifelong learning, is the heartbeat of that mind. Understand this: you will never out-earn your personal growth. You will never outrun your ignorance. Your income will rarely exceed your identity. So if you want more, you must become more. Study success like your life depends on it, because it does. Read, listen, observe. Learn from the giants. Not just what they did, but how they thought. Study how they framed problems, how they made decisions, how they handled pressure. And more than anything, learn from your own life. Every day is experience, a lesson. Every failure, a teacher. Do not run from your mistakes. Mind them. Extract the wisdom. And when you do, when your mind becomes a machine of growth, an organism of learning, wealth cannot help but follow, because wealth is a mirror. It reflects the quality of your thinking. And when the mind becomes rich, the world must catch up. So if you are still asking, how do I get rich? You're asking the wrong question. Ask instead, how do I think like the wealthy? How do I believe like the wealthy? How do I move, decide, and persist like the wealthy? When you shift the question, you shift your identity. And when you shift your identity, you don't chase money, you attract it. And so now we arrive at the edge between the life you've known and the one waiting for you, the edge between reaction and creation, between wishing and willing, the edge between the version of you that survives and the one who builds empires. You've heard it whispered by the greats, echoed through history like a secret waiting to be rediscovered. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. But that's not just a quote. It's not motivational fluff. It is law. It is the foundation of every skyscraper that pierced the sky, every business that changed the world, every life that exploded into greatness against all odds. Because the truth has never changed. The world bends to the one who masters his mind. Master your mind and money will follow. Not because the world owes you, but because you've become the kind of person it cannot ignore. You've shaped your thoughts into weapons of creation. You've forged belief so strong it silences doubt. You've carved clarity out of chaos. You've envisioned a future so vivid it began to pull you forward like gravity. You've found purpose deeper than profit, a reason that burns long after motivation fades. You've shown up with discipline when no one was watching. You've acted with courage while others hesitated. You've stood in gratitude even in lack. You've adapted, transformed, and risen when others fell. You've turned every failure into feedback. You've turned pain into power. You've turned time into leverage. You've turned your mind into the sharpest tool in your arsenal. And now, the wealth you once chased begins to chase you, because you no longer seek it from a place of need. You command it from a place of identity. You are no longer hoping to become rich. You've realized you already are, because wealth is not just numbers in a bank. It is the discipline to earn, the wisdom to keep, the vision to grow, the character to lead, and the power to give, and all of it, every dollar, every decision, every moment of impact begins in thought, invisible, internal, eternal. So what now? Now you rise, not someday, not when it's easier. Now, you rise with clarity in your eyes and conviction in your chest. You rise with the hunger of a beginner and the strategy of a master. You rise as a new being, not just someone who wants more, but someone who has become more. You walk into the world knowing your mind is your compass, your crown, your kingdom. And every action you take from here forward is not just a move. It is a signal that you are no longer available for small thinking, no longer available for excuses, no longer available for mediocrity, for waiting, for living life on someone else's terms. You are here to build, to create, to dominate the inner world until the outer world submits. The clock is ticking, but it is not your enemy. It is your ally, reminding you that this moment is the only one that matters. You've already been given the tools, the time, the breath, the vision. Now comes the decision to stop being a spectator in your own story and start being the architect. Because the difference between those who live rich And those who die wishing is not luck, it is not education, it is not timing, it is not talent, it is thinking, rich thinking, bold thinking, obsessed, purpose-driven, no compromise, burn the boats kind of thinking. So think bigger, think clearer, think longer. And when doubt creeps in, when the world tries to shrink you, when the old version of you begs for safety, you answer with the voice of a giant. I am not here to play small. I am not here to wish. I am here to build wealth from the inside out. And in that moment, the world begins to shift. Because when your thoughts become a fortress, when your belief becomes unbreakable, when your actions match the weight of your vision, you become the kind of mind that wealth cannot resist. And the laws of the universe, the same ones whispered by Carnegie, written by Hill, lived by Ford, respond in kind. You were never here to chase money. You were here to command it. So rise, think, act, become. Master your mind and money will follow. It always does.